Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I would like to discuss the Denver Nuggets and the OKC Thunder, give you guys a prediction. As I'm staring at the numbers of the last two times these two teams matched up, it was one game where Denver shot really well, and it was another game where Denver did not shoot very well, and that's the difference. If Denver can shoot above 50% and 50% from the three end of field, uh, history tells us that OKC is not going to win that particular game. So that's just me, starting the video in the middle of homework, to be honest with you, just to keep it going. But the Nuggets won a close game. The second game they played against them, 124-122, and the Thunder won the first game, 102-87. The Thunder won the third game, 127-103, and the Nuggets won the fourth game, 140-127. So that's two straight games where the Thunder scored 127 on these Nuggets. And so that's really it. I mean, I think the Nuggets are in a position to where if their offense is really going, they give themselves a chance against the Thunder. Splitting the season series, the first time they played was 10-24, second 11-6, third 3-9, and fourth 3-10. They had a back-to-back with one another where they split those games. This is the thing about the Thunder that I learned when doing homework on them right before playing the Lakers 2 games in a row as well. The Thunder have beaten everybody they're supposed to beat, but when it came down to teams that were really good at the top of the Western Conference, top of the Eastern Conference, they tend to drop games against some of the most elite talent, which tell me that they're a little vulnerable when it comes to facing elite talent. Now, they took their pound of flesh out of those teams too, but they lost games. And out of 72 wins, all of their losses, with the exception of one against the Spurs, if I'm not mistaken, was against teams that were basically teams still alive right now. So that's what concerned me about the Oklahoma City Thunder. They could beat the crap out of teams that sucked, but they always seem to struggle with teams that you have to beat in order to win the championship. And I wonder if that's going to be a thing. The Oklahoma City Thunder actually won 68 games. 68 of 14 is what it says here. 8 and 14, and the Denver Nuggets were 50 and 32. So these are two very good teams. Denver, of course, coming off winning Game 7 against the Clippers. Clippers folded, as we come to expect here in Los Angeles. But Denver did show that they are still capable of being an elite execution team, still able to run the score up in pockets of a game that makes basically demoralize you. And I think that could be something that the Thunder deal with. Now, when you're talking about the Thunder, of course, you're mentioning that they have a complete roster full of lottery picks and roster young players. Just they've taken advantage of a lot of teams who've been mortgaging their picks, trying to win now and all this different stuff. They've just been picking up the pieces and drafting well with all that stuff. They made a trade for Alex Caruso last year in the offseason, brought him and his championship experience to their situation. Luguentz Dort still in place. Shea's looking like he may be the MVP. If not him, then Joker on the other end. Isaiah Hartenstein they brought in free agency from the Knicks, which is huge. Chet Holmgren's healthy this season going into these playoffs. Isaiah Joe has developed very well. Dylan Jones, a nice rookie. A.J. Mitchell, a nice rookie. Kason Wallace has turned into a nice player, not as expected. Aaron Wiggins has been a good player off the bench. J-Dub, J-Will, both of those guys are good in different categories, but definitely talented. Kendrick Williams off the bench. They got Nikola Topic, a lottery pick from this past draft, coming in next year. He's out for the season, but they just got a world of talent. Ousmane Dang is a guy that's still lengthy on the back of their bench, not quite getting any opportunities, but he's there. And you just understand how difficult it is to stop this team, because just like the Boston Celtics, as we mentioned in the previous video, they have a two-way roster full of people that can help them on both sides of the floor. J-Dub has turned into a superstar level player, in my opinion. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already is one. Chet Holmgren is going to have that type of upside going forward. Length for days, ability to hit shots. And that's the question, though, for this team, is can they hit enough shots? Some of the guys that they have that they use a lot tend to be iffy with their jumper. Dort, for example, you can see Dort missing shots. It becomes a situation where you don't know if they're going to run cold like they did against the Bucks in the in-season tournament championship. If that type of thing rises against a team like the Denver Nuggets, they're probably going to lose the game that happens in. So, the energy of Isaiah Hartenstein, experience of Alex Caruso on the defensive end, offensive end, Lou Dort locking people up. I just think it's going to be very difficult for the Denver Nuggets overall to see this roster because they don't have the depth to really face them in theory. Then we'll go over the Denver Nuggets roster as well here as I can click around. But that's where they separate one another. Even though Denver is a very elite executing offensive talented team, we've seen them do this year in and year out. At the end of the day, Denver is not a good defensive team, and they don't have the fresh legs to keep out there while remaining competitive against an elite basketball team. They have to shorten their bench, in my opinion, to really do something. Now, Christian Braun had a very good first series against the Clippers. He's going to be an important piece to try to offset some of that energy, but he's going to have elite defense on him, probably more talented defense on him night in and night out than he's used to. Russell Westbrook, same thing. I think this is interesting in regards to Russell because, of course, he made his claim to fame and won MVPs with the Thunder and played many years with the Thunder before becoming a journeyman. And he's coming off a really good series where he just upset one of his old teams. And this is an opportunity for him to do it again in a different way, in a much more, likely much more emotional series where Russell is really loved in OKC. And is a legend who will likely have number 0 retired without any delay. So that's really what it is. That's who I look at. I circle him as somebody. Is he gonna play his best against his old squad, of whom he'll likely go into the Hall of Fame as a Thunder. I'm certain he will. So that's going to be interesting there. Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and of course, 3-time, 4-time. I don't know how many MVPs. I haven't lost count. Nikola Jokic create a lot of size. Jokic at 284. Gordon 6'8", 235, Michael Porter 6'10", 218. The length and the size that they provide, I think, could potentially be a bit of a headache to deal with for a team in OKC that really only has, in my opinion, one player that provides that type of size, and that's Hartenstein. Without Hartenstein, they're a little thin in the back pocket, and I do think that even though they have length, that can upset some of what it is that's being thrown at them. Size-wise, I don't know how they're going to deal with the Joker. Joker's going to cook anybody and everybody regardless. Maybe you just be at peace with that no matter what. But there's something to be said for not having enough weight to really do so. And when I look at Hartenstein, he's 7 feet 250. He's going to be the guy that they're going to put on Joker 100% of the time. Because Chet Holmgren's 208 at 7'1". That's not going to cut it. Jay Will, 6'9", 240. They're going to probably give him some minutes on Joker. Hope it works out. But like once you start talking about who they have, these are small people, man. J Dub's 6'5", 211. Aaron Wiggins, 190. Kason Wallace, 195, 6'3". Isaiah Joe is 165 pounds at 6'3". That's lighter than me, man. Shea is not even 200 pounds. Luke Dort is 6'4", 220. But like, what? When you start talking about size, Alex Caruso, 6'5", 186. When you start talking about size, they're gonna really have some trouble with the Denver Nuggets. And I just think that given that Denver is going to be shortening their bench, I think Denver has less of a margin for error. They can't get in foul trouble. They don't want to expose their bench. Thunder do not have that problem. So I could totally see where the Thunder probably just are able to have that be a strength that overpowers the fact that they're undersized here. But still, I think that it's really something to be said for the experience of the Denver Nuggets, the fact that Thunder can run cold at times versus the Denver Nuggets, who you would expect will be, with their experience and with their ability to execute, more than capable of hitting big shot after big shot after big shot. Now the question is, can the defense of the Thunder be so disruptive as to throw a monkey wrench in what it is that I just said there? Can the Thunder's defense be so disruptive to Denver's offense that it turns Denver into a lesser version of themselves? dumbing down the fact that the Thunder may not be able to score so much consistently. You know, I look at the first game that these two teams played with one another, and if I'm not mistaken, the score was really low. Let me take a look at that. But I believe that's exactly what we saw there. If the Thunder scored 102 points to the Nuggets 87, I would imagine that's a recipe for success for the Thunder. If you can keep the Nuggets scoring under 100 points in most of these games because your defense is so damn disruptive, that will really help. Now, do I expect the Nuggets to shoot 18% from behind the arc? No. 35% from the field? No. And that's what happened in this game. But in this game, with all those missed shots, the Nuggets won the boards, which kind of goes hand in hand. The Thunder were able to force 16 total turnovers, which is something that you expect the Thunder to do a lot. The Thunder tend to be a team that turns a lot of steals into buckets, and points conceded off turnovers is going to be a big stat in this series. But I just think that OKC is going to have their issues potentially on the boards. The star power of Jokic should likely offset the star power of Shea. So whatever Shea's doing great, Joker's going to do great too. J-Dub, if Jamal Murray's 100% healthy. And so in this time of year, Jamal Murray is obviously a great bet to be amazing. Kevin Porter's here and there. Michael Porter, rather. He's here and there, so I don't really know. But he's still a hell of an executing piece. And when he gets it going, we've seen games where he doesn't miss shots. So it becomes a situation where I think that this is the series where if the Thunder run cold too often, it's going to cost them. That's really what it comes down to. Their defense is going to be good, but they can't miss open shots. Denver's going to allow lanes to be open. There's no rim protection there outside of Peyton Watson, to be honest with you. Peyton Watson is a nice rim protector, but he's not going to be on the floor enough to make that kind of impact. So the front court energy of Hartenstein and the length of Chet Holmgren could potentially be like something that helps the Thunder get 50-50 balls and deflections and rebounds where they need to. Offensive rebounds is going to be extremely important for the Oklahoma City Thunder off of their own misses. They're going to need to get their own boards. It cannot allow the Denver Nuggets, who like to get in transition, score in transition. That's one of the strengths of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They tend to keep their teams from being able to score in transition. So that's something that they're going to have to be successful in against this very good offensive team in Denver. But all in all, I don't know if depth is going to matter as much in the playoffs when people start shrinking their bench just off the strength of how they operate. The depth of the OKC Thunder, are we going to see a lot of Isaiah Joe? Are we going to see a lot of some of these other names? Are we going to see any of them rookies? I doubt it. So it's going to be your best 8 versus my best 8. And when it comes to that, I just think that dumbs it down for the Denver Nuggets to kind of have a little more of an edge. Not to say that they're the favorites, but it closes the gap a lot. Because I think one of the biggest strengths that they have over Denver is that they can go 11, 12 deep. So I don't know, how that works as far as the Thunder. I haven't watched enough Thunder to know how their coach operates. But like I said, I think they're going to be able to keep fresher legs on the floor if they choose to, and I think they should really take advantage of that, especially since they're going up against a team that spends its time in altitude. I think altitude could tell the difference as well. There could make a difference. And they're talking about, the energy that's going to be provided by both teams. You just see a world where, this is a very physical series. You can see a world where Oklahoma City Thunder starts to get a little worn down when they have to go on the road. And they're forced to go to their bench. If they use it, they'll have it, available to them. If they don't, it could, like I said, close the gap. And so this is a series that I think could go a long way, man. I think this could probably go 7 games, if I'm being honest with you. I think it can go 7 games. Even though the Denver Nuggets are not a good defensive team, they are an excellent offensive team. And the Thunder are not a good offensive team, but they're a strong defensive team. But how defensive can they be when they have such a size disadvantage in certain areas? How much does that equate to them being good defensively? So this is when the experience of the Thunder. This series kind of almost reminds me of the Rockets Golden State series, where the Rockets were a team that had the physical edge, but the experience goes to the team like the Golden State Warriors, and Golden State ended up winning in 7 last night. I think this series could kind of be similar, y'all. I really do. I think it could be similar. I think the Thunder going to have to impose their will physically with their energy and their ability to force turnovers and get out of transition to score versus getting back quickly and keeping the Nuggets from being in transition offensively. I think that could tell the story. I think that the Thunder's ability to be a lot more consistent scoring the ball against a porous defense could really tell the story. If the Thunder can run the score up and find ways of really getting their offense going, I think they can end this series early. Because Denver ain't going to hold them, as it pertains to defensively. Denver ain't going to put much of pressure on them defensively. And so in my mind's eye, I feel like even though Denver is going to be ridiculous offensively, the gap closes once you start seeing how Oklahoma's probably able to get easy buckets in the paint, get to the line repeatedly, of course, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So this is going to be a long series in my opinion, but I'm going to say the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win the series. And the reason why I feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder are ultimately going to overcome all of these things is because I just don't know how Denver is going to get stops against an elite killer like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. These games run close. I trust that the defense of the Oklahoma City Thunder is going to be more imposing against a porous defense, against a strong offense in the Denver Nuggets versus a poor Nuggets defense trying to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander down the stretch of basketball games that are close. That's really how I see it. OKC defense has a better chance of stopping the great offense of the Nuggets than the Nuggets have a chance of stopping Shai when it matters most. I just don't see them getting stops. I don't see them keeping him off the line. I see waves of defensive players making life a little harder for Jamal Murray than he's used to. J-Dub having big games here and there. Russell Westbrook turned the ball over at the wrong time. Stuff like that just doesn't work in the Nuggets' favor. It doesn't. I'm going to say Thunder in 7. Just off the strength of what my mind is telling me. My imagination is showing me what I see there. Chet's going to have a big series. He can't have like 7-point games and stuff like that. He's going to have to be impactful on the scoring side of things. He's going to have to continue to impose his length and play strong out there. I think that's going to be extremely important. He's going to have to outplay Michael Porter, in my opinion. Chet has to be a better player than Michael Porter. Hartenstein has to stay healthy in this series against Jokic. If for some reason Hartenstein was removed from this series, I think the Denver Nuggets will win the series. It's just no way you're stopping Joker without somebody legitimately big enough to push up against him and put pressure on him. But I think Chet being aggressive has to get guys in foul trouble. Jalen and Shai getting to the line consistently and hitting their free throws is extremely important against the Nuggets. And, Russell Westbrook's the X factor. So much history of him going up against the Thunder. It's going to be very emotional. If he plays well enough, he can steal a game. And if he plays like he's played at times, he can throw the series away. So this may teeter on how well Russell Westbrook handles what the pressure will be there. So this is a lot to consider, man. But at the end of the day, as I try to envision in my head what to expect, I think it's going to be a battle of strengths and a battle of weaknesses. The weakness of the shot making of OKC and the inconsistencies there versus the weakness of the Denver Nuggets defense and their inability to really get any stops, pretty much. So who can impose their will against those weaknesses? Whoever imposes their will against those weaknesses, the best will probably win the series. I'm going to say it's going to be the Thunder. Thunder in 7. They have the home court. Both of these crowds are rabid. Altitude is something, but this is a young Thunder team, so I don't think it bothers them as much as maybe some of these other teams may. And Thunder have had some experience now. We've been waiting for them to grow up. They've been getting knocked off by teams and stuff like that. Last year they got knocked off by Dallas. I think they're ready. I think this is the Thunder's time. I think the time is now for them to get over the hump. I do think this is a tough series, real tough test for the Thunder, and they have dropped some games against teams that were as good as them or in that range. But at the end of the day, I think the essence of what it is that I expect to see is them lose some of their games, but ultimately get 4 out of 7 and get the victory there. So I'm going to say this goes the distance. I'm going to say the Thunder wins the series. Jokic is going to be amazing. We know that. Jamal Murray's probably going to be amazing too, but he's going to have some serious defensive players on him. More defense than he's had in most of these series where he's flexed on people. And I don't know if Jamal Murray's going to be the exact same Jamal Murray he needs to be in order for them to overcome Shea and J-Dub and Chet Holmgren. And so keep an eye open for the role players of the Thunder, though, man. Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jay Will, Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe. These are important pieces. And for the Nuggets, obviously, Christian Brown, Russell Westbrook, Peyton Watson. These are important pieces, man. Who's ever got the edge with the role players more times than not probably win the series as well. Stars are going to do what stars do. But the role players, Aaron Gordon, how big of a series is Aaron Gordon going to have in this thing? He's going to have a very tough assignment one way or another, either against J-Dub or Chet Holmgren. They're going to be at times where they're going to, have him kind of floating around with Isaiah Hartenstein, banging with him a little bit. Aaron Gordon is an extremely important piece. The way that he played against the Clippers, he's going to have to play that well to keep this series alive for the Denver Nuggets, in my opinion. And I expect he will. He's been great. So, yeah, man, pay attention to these guys, these role players outside of the superstars. Whoever wins that matchup, I think probably wins the series. And I'm going to say that the edge on that one, I think, actually goes to the Nuggets, which is why I'm stretching this thing out to 7, because I can see this is going to be even. But the Nuggets' defense is the weakest link of the entire series, in my opinion. Ultimately, it's going to cost the Nuggets the series, in my opinion. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.